Now let us see in the next part of the first chapters of the modern concept of the industrial chemistry, research and development department, R&D department. Now I already discussed what about the relations which is present in the R&D. Each and every industries, that is the R&D department. It is one of the creative work that can be taken, you remember, in the form of the R&D department. Now it is to increase in the knowledge as well as including in the culture of the society to develop the different types of the application, different types of the innovations, technology, or as well as there is some of the changes of the in that chemical industries according to their development in the form of the chemical reaction. So in that time there is a number of types of the shortcut methods, number of types of the more beneficial methods, number of types of the that is the more of the quality of the products. So those who are the like to accept the customers, and that the work is related to the research and developments. Without of the research, there is no any types of the industries to be there. Each and every industry that the work is the innovative works, and that is related by the some of the ideas, some of the modifications, some of the upgrading. There is a production. It like to be more prefer in the markets as well as latest technology, latest of the some of the methods which are find out by using of the research and development department. Now this is involved in the number of chemical compounds or theoretical mechanisms. It is to be developed, or it is developed not only in the like in the theoretically, but it is the practically with proof that can be more safety, that can be more easy, that analysis is also simple, as well as this mechanism is to be more simple, that is the delivery of that product is also simple, as well as this can be occur, that is the minimum steps, as well as more of the quality of the products that have to be find out by using of the different types of the that scientists, as well as some of the chemists, some of the types of the agencies, state agencies, national, international agencies that also have to be held to take the more and more interest in that industries to upgrade the products, and that is to be more acceptable toward the consumers, you remember. Now you consider by this is one of the process are there. Now this is the idea, and that idea can be supposed to consider in the basic research. Basic research, that is to be applied research, then this applied is converted to development. Development is nothing but the innovation. Innovation is nothing but the that can be go to the actual in the practice, and that is you remember as a number of steps are there. For example, you considering quinine is the one of the that is the chemical compounds. You also know that today in the that is in COVID-19, this has to be one of the viral disease, and that disease has to be controlled. You remember, like in the malaria disease is related by the viral infection, and this you consider by the quinine is heterocyclic compound that is synthesized in the laboratories, and this chloroquine, hydrochloroquine, mefloquine, primaquine, then amidoquine, these are the some types of the quinine families, and these families today is very, very important to control the, you remember, as a malaria, not only in the malaria but in the also in the COVID-19 hydroxychloroquine. This is the one of the compound today also using, you consider in the to control the that is this viral infection. So this way, this all the types of the heterocyclic compound They are developed in the laboratories. They are synthesized in the laboratories. You remember in the work of the R&D. You also know in the pharmaceutical industry, number of the compounds are synthesized, and that compounds are these are the some types of the example I like to be discussed. Now you remember the next department is the pollution control. The protection of the environment. I also already discussed what is the importance of the pollution control. This is the serious problem today in the environment. It can be affected almost in the chemical process industry. There is no adequate awareness about the environmental protection. In our country also, for environmental protection, two important laws have been made. Water pollution law and air pollution law is also the some of the government agencies are there. Now this agency that also given the idea is there. Now you remember you have to be controlled by one of the like the level of the water pollutant and air pollutant, and it has to be maintained. There is suppose as a level of the pollutants, standard level of the pollutant. Now we consider effluent waters. I already discussed in the industries as well as in municipal waste also, that have to be directly dumping in the water. So that is very effective on the environment, as well as we also consider to maintain the purity of the air in the atmosphere. That is very essential, because today also the number of the that types of the diseases is to be occur in the form of the in our body. In that this is because of there is a deficiency of the pure oxygen is not getting sufficient in our body, and hence remember like the carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, sulfur dioxide, or oxides of the nitrogen, lead, heavy metals, particulate matter. These are the number of example which are present in the air pollution, and that have to be very hazardous in any living organism, not only human being, all the living organism that's supposed to be affected in the form of the industrial effluent water and solid waste. So each and every industry that have to be set up, you remember, and that setup is to control this one. And this is the number of effect can be there in the nature, as well as you consider in industrial, commercial, agriculture, domestic activity, chemical industries, paper, pulp, mill, steel industries, petroleum, refineries, fertilizer. Number of the industries they are responsible. Mostly you remember, I already told you carbon monoxide, CO2, NO2, SO2, as well as number of there is a family members of the sulfur and nitrogen oxides that have to be mostly responsible. You remember in the form of that pollution is there. This can be decrease the oxygen levels in the environment. Now you remember this is the fact you consider in industries. Very large scale. These are the gases which are like to expose on the atmosphere. It is very dangerous. Very, you remember as like in the to change the balance of the atmosphere, that temperature and all can have to be changed. And here hence remember today you can also look this is to be very dangerous. Now in the another department, so you like to study in the human resource. This is HR department, and this is also one of the very important department. Actually I discussed in the last lecture also. Human research, this is one of the very communicative, as well as this also like to control all the types of the departments by the human resource. Now it can be like to the manpowers, planning, recruitment, retention. These are the roles are there, as well as you consider in the management also, that also like to be one of the mediators. You remember human resource between the management and between the industrial employees, that have to be like to one of the community mediators. You consider in human resource, number of the policies can be adopted, procedures are there in the industry that have to be applied in the form of the human resource development, as well as you consider in performance of the management system. What about this also have to be given the guidelines with the help of the human resource department, as well as there is a number of types of the job evaluation and grading systems, that also there. Compensation and benefits program toward the employees, that also have to be applied in the form of the human resource, as well as some of the there is a crisis in between, or there is no in the the good relations between the managements and suppose that employees, that have to be maintained because of the human resource development department, that is the role is there, and that get the good communication, and that also have to be good relations in between by the employees as well as in the management, and that get the one of the good control. You remember, with help of the human resource department, you also ask an examination, what about the human resource, what about the role of the human resource? You remember, it is a express the individual who consists of the workforce of an organization, even though it also applied in labor economics. Human resources is a relatively modern management term. The HR function may set strategies and develop policies, standards, system and process to execute this scheme in a whole range of areas. These are areas are recruitment, organizational design, development, business transformation, as well as you remember performance, conduct, behavior management, industrial and employees relation, training and development. All points I already discussed. So you consider this is one of the combinations, as well as one of the there is a systems which are to be developed by the human research by training, education, as well as labor also to there is a good skilled labors, that also have to be one of the needs of the industries, and that the with help of the training as well as their developments, there are also the all the things that can have to be upgraded by this by using the human research. You remember, so this consider by that the industry have to be to be good industries, that also the all can be how to be get in the employees also, management also, that is one of the good coordination, and this is very successful industries are there. Now another is the safety measures. Now that industries has the number of the employees is to be work continuously, and that have to be their safety is also important. Biological safety, standard precautions, chemical safety, fire safety, electrical safety, glassware safety, equipment, physical and compressed gases safety, pest control. These are the some types of the precautions should be there. Because of that, worker or the employees that have to be work, their health is also important to remember. And in that time, if there are some of the biological, there is a effect in their body, as well as chemical effect in their body. Some of the supposing some of the hazardous chemicals, some of the chemicals which are to be you consider inflammable, that have to be catch the fires. So what about the fire safety? Electricals also have to be more important. Glassware handling, sometimes it is also dangerous. Equipment is also sometimes there is a also have to be not in good condition. Sometimes it get accident will be there. So that should take in the more precautions you consider, and that also by using in the there is a some systems which are developed by the that employees, that should be have to be good health, and there also have to be more precautions by their work, that should be very systematic, more discipline, and that is you consider in the this is also the role of the industry is their safety precaution. Now any accident that can be supposed to be there in the industry, that is responsibility in all the management and all the employees, they are also have to be responsible, you remember. So that organization is to be affected because of some small or some large accident that's supposed to be there, that industry is totally affected. So that should take the more and more precaution that can be used in the number of types of the there is a safety purpose that in the that all the types of the employees that supposed to be there in the market. So it is to be possible to prevent by their any accident that can be handling is very carefully. So that sometimes the instruction, training, that also more skill employees are there. So that also get handling is to be like to be more carefully. All can be there. That without of the exposure of any types of the gas and any types of the fire exposure, it does not be there. And that is the role of the, you remember, as a safety measures that is to be used in that industries, you remember. Economics of the chemical process. The main object of any industry is to deliver the best product and most efficient services at the lowest price to the consumers and make some profit. The economic factors associated with chemical industries are capital investment, working capital, manufacturing cost. That also very important. When you remember, what about the capital investment is to be there in the industry, that have to be remembered. Equipments are there, raw material, storage facility, transportation, building construction, chemical plant, all is to be there. And working capital, working means all the types of the that testing and production. What about the cost is there? So this all can be totally calculated. And after that, you remember that industry have to be find out the profit, percentage of the profit. It is to be net profit you consider. By what about the, this all can have to be there. This can be like to be like to be reduced, and after it get the profit of the industry. So you consider all the types of the industry have to be number of the factors that have to be remembered, and then it can have to be find out by that percentage of the profit, cost of the production and capital investment, and what about the cost of the, you remember, to sell the products in the market, and it has to be get the profit in the industry. Those industries more profitable, that also get the that market sale of the product is have the more demand, you remember, with respect to of the their production. That industry is to be more reputed industry, that get the more market, you remember. Now you consider in some of the parameters which are also considered in industry, plant location, availability of the raw material, market facility is also considered. With help of the that any industry have to be located in particular place, that should be considered. What about the if the availability of the raw material, if it is easily available or more transportation, more difficulty, that industry does not work properly. So that should be available more easily. Market is also have to be related by the transportation is very simple. That product is to be like to dispose in the very low, in the very short period of the time. That is also considered. And as well as considering supply of the water, supply of the electricity, as well as skilled labors, cost of the land, waste disposal, this road, railways, all the facility that's supposed to be considered. Safety purpose, construction of the plant, management for productivity and creativity. Management is also good and good. Then that industry have to be work properly. Otherwise, this is not possible. So remember. So these all factors considered, and then you in combinedly they are supposed to be work, and then you can supposed to be find out in the good of the industries that have to be work, and that like to find out this all is there. The training and labor I already discussed. Chemical process technology, this is also important to remember, which is the process have to be used. What about the equipments are used? The process is very simple, difficult. So that also selected, you remember, and then you get the more and more profit in that industries have to be related. So I discussed all the types of the department that have to be there. Now in the R&D department I discussed in the there also environmental pollution department is discussed. Safety purpose is also there. All can ask in the examination. What about the definition? What about the role of the, these are the all the types of the department. That is very important. You ask in the examination. You remember. So this is the only the role is very important. By all like to combinedly work in the industries to be there. So I discuss in the all the types of the process though you can have to be like to study by these all the process are there, and that process are the more and more important with respect to of the industry are there. Next time I discuss. So there is a what is the chemical process are there? What is the there is a definition, classification, and what about the batch process? And you consider in the continuous process. What about the difference are there? I discuss on the next of the lectures. You remember. Thank you.